Now we're going to add in a monster to our game. So again, on the game layer, I'm going to double click to add a new object. I'm going to add in a sprite. Click on the background. We'll load this sprite. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to set that off the edge of the screen. I'm going to name this monster. And this also needs to have some behaviors. So the monster behavior I'm going to give this is bullet movement, so that he moves in a straight line. And I'm going to slightly slow that down to 200. Then I'm going to go over to my event sheet. So the first event I'm going to add is when the monster is not on the screen. So if I go down to the bottom, there is an event for is outside layout. So if I type outside, then I'll get is outside layout. When that happens, I want the monster to move toward the player. So take the monster, set angle toward position, and we're going to do the player dot x, and then the player dot y. So now if I run this, since it starts outside the layout, he should immediately come toward the player. If I move the player out of the way, as soon as he goes off screen, he will change directions and come back at the player. Now I need the monster and the player and the bullets to interact. So then we're going to add an event for a collision between the monster and the bullet. You could do this either way, but what you really want to think about is which one is going to be your worst case scenario. I think the worst case scenario is that there's a bunch of monsters on the screen, but not a lot of bullets, because the bullets will be destroyed once they go off the screen. So I'm going to have the bullet do the checks for collisions. So if the bullet has a collision with another object, and that object is the monster, and I'll click done. So when the bullet has a collision with the monster, for now I'm going to take the bullet and destroy it, and I'm going to take the monster and destroy it. Notice you can have multiple actions for one event. Now when I run this, if I were to shoot at the monster, it will destroy the bullet and the monster. Next, whenever the monster hits the player, there's only one player, so it's easier to check for him. So let's take the player on collision with another object, so collision whenever he hits the monster. We're going to take the player and we're going to destroy him. This is just a temporary thing. We will fix this later with hit points and game overs and scores. So let's run that to make sure it works. And our monster keeps going and our player has died. And then I'm going to right click in this bottom area and I'm going to add a global variable. And I'm going to make this the monster timer. And I'm going to start that at, say, maybe 4 seconds. And then I want to add an event for system, and then it's every, so type every, and then we want to do every X seconds. So every X seconds, and that is our monster timer variable. Hit done. Now I could have just made this every 4 seconds, but by making it a variable, I can change this throughout the game, and this will automatically update. So every monster timer seconds, I want to create a new monster. So I can do system, because I don't want something that doesn't exist, and then I'm going to create an object. The object I want to create is a monster. I want that to be on layer 1, the game layer. And then my X and Y coordinates are going to be somewhere off the screen. So random 1280, and then random 720 are the possible X and Y coordinates, but that will just put him randomly somewhere on the screen, which is not what we want. So I'm actually going to have my Y coordinate be negative 100, and then the X coordinate be random anywhere between the left and the right edge of our layout. Then click done. So this should be right above the top edge of the screen. I'm going to copy and paste that. And then instead of negative 100, I'm going to actually do 820. So since our last Y coordinate is 720, I'm going to add 100 to that. So that will be along the bottom edge of the screen. Copy and paste that again. This time my X should be negative 100, and this should be random 720. Hit done. Copy and paste that one, Instead of our negative 100, we can do 1380 to do 100 past our last x coordinate. So now we've created 4 monsters, one from each of the 4 sides of the screen. So every monster timer, which is 4 seconds, 4 new monsters should show up. So if I run it, we have 1 show up. I can shoot him, and then 4 seconds later, I will have 4 random guys show up. And then I have 4 other random guys, and each time they should be from a different location. Alright, now we have the basic monster behavior running.